Welcome back to this week's episode of Austin's Academy of Sports, where we dive deep into the topic of, you guessed it, Super Wildcard Weekend. Let's begin with the first game of Saturday, where the Seahawks traveled up to the Bay pretty much, and it was raining. The California weather is not very good right now. But anyways, they traveled to San Francisco in the Bay to play in the rain. Well, the rain kind of held off for a little bit there, but it was pouring earlier in the day before the game even started. They had the tarp on the field. It was kind of a mess, but they played the game anyways because this is football weather. Everybody likes football weather in the rain. So let's begin with the Seahawks at the Niners. The Niners eventually got the win, but the Seahawks kept it close. Brock Purdy, in the end, his inexperience took over. Usually you say his experience took over, but his inexperience actually took over. And they scored 41 points. Now, most of it was by Christian McCaffrey, who has a few playoff experience games, but Brock Purdy in the end took over and scored 41 points, like I said, and routed the Hawks. I mean, now they've got their eyes set on the Cowboys. They're hosting the Cowboys, so hopefully this weekend it's going to be a little bit better weather. Should be a great game because last night's game, Monday night's game against the Bucs, the Cowboys won. And he scored 4 touchdowns. Dak Prescott scored 4 touchdowns by himself. Well, I mean, throwing it, but racked up 4 touchdowns. So it's kind of going to be a quarterback duel there. And then both teams have weapons. I will get into the topic of that a little later in the show. But for right now, the 49ers whooped the Seahawks. And in my case, it should have been the Lions there. I think the Lions would have put up a decent fight against the 49ers, especially in the rain. They would have ran the ball. Their offense is high-powered, but their defense would have got exploited. And in the end, the 49ers would have beat both teams single-handedly with George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, you name it. And I think the 49ers would have beat the Lions as well. But it should have been the Lions there in the first place. Next, we go to the late Saturday night game with the Chargers at the Jaguars. The Chargers got out to an early lead, as everybody knows, and then failed to win the game. They lost by 1 point. It was a 31-30 game. Excuse me. And they came back and won the game, and it was like a great playoff experience. I think I saw on Instagram it was like the third game where a playoff team that was losing before halftime actually came back and won the game by that many points. Now it was like 27-0, I believe, at halftime, and they came back, like I said, and won 31-30, I believe. And now the Jaguars are still in it. The Chargers are eliminated, and the Jaguars are going to travel out to Kansas City to play the 1 seed this Saturday. So it should be a good matchup. T-Law. He's never lost on a Saturday, and they're playing on a Saturday again, so big storyline there. But Patrick Mahomes, in the end, I think will get the job done, advance to the the conference championship. And then to open up the day on the Sunday slate, I was unfortunately at work, and we were slammed. Anyways, the Dolphins, they got crushed by the Bills, 34-31. Tua Tagovailoa, or however you say his name, he was not in the game, as everybody knows, with his concussions. And their second-string quarterback was not in the game, so they had to go with Skylar Thompson, a third-string quarterback. And they played very well with him, but it just in the end couldn't keep their end on the defense going because Josh Allen and the Bills, they scored and scored and scored, even with 2 interceptions. They still won the game 34-31. So now the Bills are playing the Bengals, which is going to be a rematch of the game a few weeks ago where Damar Hamlin suffered cardiac arrest. So we'll see interesting storyline there. Well, a lot of storylines this weekend for the NFL and conference champion or divisional championships. So we'll see what happens there. And then for the second game on Sunday, the New York Giants at the Minnesota Vikings. The Giants beat the Vikings, and they proved that the Vikings are fraudulent. They're frauds. I have the ability to say that because I'm a Lions fan. We beat the Vikings almost twice in the season and should have beat them twice. But anyways, they end up losing at home to the Giants. I mean, the G-Men, come on. you got to beat the G-men. And then Kirk Cousins, I know you're a Spartan dog earlier in your career, but on 4th and 8, games on the line, you can't throw a check down there. And that's what he did. He threw a check down to TJ Hawkinson, former Lion player, by the way. And that ended the game because he only threw it like 3 yards, which was a check down. And in the end, couldn't pull away with the win. So finally, we'll head to the Sunday Night Football game for the Ravens at the Bengals. Overall, great game. Since he got the win in the jungle, Joe Burrow, he didn't have his best game, but he did enough to win. And then the Cincinnati defense stepped up against Tyler Huntley, no Lamar Jackson. Tyler Huntley went for a QB sneak the last play of the game pretty much and fumbled it. And then Sam Hubbard trotted down to his end zone, 98 yards, won the game, scoop and score. Couldn't write it any better. And that's how the Bengals win. So now they're going to play the Bills this weekend, this Sunday. And that's going to be a great game. Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase versus Stephon Diggs. So many playmakers on that team. That's what the playoffs is about. And, I mean, who wouldn't want to watch that game? So, I mean, so those are the Super Wildcard games. We got the divisional matchups this week where the 1 seeds are back in it, Philly and Kansas City. So we'll see how rusty they are or if they're not rusty. And then, like I said, this week's matchups, 4 games. Jacksonville at the Chiefs, Buffalo hosting the Bengals, Giants traveling to Philly, and the Niners hosting the Cowboys. By the way, the Cowboys beat the Bucs last night. Impressive, four touchdowns for the guy Dak Prescott. And, my guy Dan Campbell, the coach of the Lions, was on Monday Night Football Manningcast with the Manning brothers, and it was great. I got to listen to him. He believes that he should not be the coach of the year after his amazing turnaround, and I don't think he should be the coach of the year. I think it should be the Eagles coach or the Giants coach even. And it depends on how far the Giants go, but I think the Eagles coach would probably get it over the Giants coach. So we'll see what happens there when the awards get announced. And as for my Super Bowl matchup, I still have both my teams going in, Bills and the 49ers, and I believe they're going to get to it. They have an easier path than most of the other teams, but I do have the Bills over the 49ers. So as for that, and then thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and go Lions. See you next year. For the Lions' sake, of course, see me next week. See you. Bye.